How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. I know the fixtures have been postponed here and there, but Arsenal are playing this Sunday midday and it's a big one, people. We're away at Brentford. Yes, away at Brentford. Arsenal fans are very familiar with this fixture off the back of last season, starting the Premier League 21-22 season, going away to Brentford. And the rest is history. I don't want to get into that. It is what it is. But I'm joined again by Billy the Bee. What are you saying, Billy? All good?
Hello, Turkish. How you doing? Thanks for inviting me back on as well. I'm surprised you invited me back on after last season.
Nah, come on.
You know, which is all good. I'm joking, man. Like I said to you, and Arsenal fans as well. Thanks very much for inviting us back on and to something. We've had a wicked season. We've had some jokes this season, and we are hoping that we're going to have some more fun this season. Because as I said to you last season, it's all about football. It's all about what happens before the game and after the game. And so we had a lot of fun before the game and after the game, but we had quite a bit of fun during the games as well last season.
Yeah, you did. Look at that smile on your face. Listen, Billy is a massive Brentford fan, people. So make sure you guys subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm going to put it in the title, but also podcast in the description below. Billy's going to let you know at the end where you can find Billy. And there's also a special guest appearance from Robbie on the podcast. So I'm going to put all the links in the description below, people. Show some love to Billy. The same love you showed last season. Billy's wondering why I brought him back. I brought him back because you guys loved him out there. So Billy, Brentford, you're smiling. You're playing Arsenal again away in different circumstances, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it is different circumstances because we've obviously been in the league for a season, and I think that to a certain extent people didn't know what we were about. I mean, when I did the first interview with you at the Brentford Stadium that time, I think it was the day of the match. I think it was even, or the day before the match.
Yeah.
The day before the match, and I had no idea really what was going on. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have any idea what was going on. I was just happy to be there. You know what I'm saying? I was happy to be there that Arsenal was going to be coming for the first game in the Premier League, which is what I wanted. The only team I wanted was Arsenal to come down to Brentford for our first game.
What's the reason behind that?
Because we've never played Arsenal at in our home ground. So there was only two teams that I don't think I'd never seen I'd play at our home ground. Obviously, our old home ground. One of them was Man United, and one of them was Arsenal. And if it came between the two of those ones, it was actually Arsenal as opposed to Man United. I would have loved Man United back in the old ground in the cup. Right, you know what I'm saying? And if you were third tier, and they had turned up in that cramped little ground, you know what I'm saying, and gone inside the changing rooms where literally I think you had to go one in and one out, you know, in the changing rooms and like inside the tunnel. I would have loved Man United to do that because obviously the luxury that they have, that would have just killed them. But for a sort of prestige moment, I wanted it to be Arsenal. I've got a lot of Arsenal friends. Like I said to you, I used to live in Stoke Newington. So I used to sit, I used to come out to all the pubs on a Saturday afternoon if Brentford weren't playing and just sit with all the Arsenal fans and sit down and talk football and watch the game. And it's through the whole Arsene Wenger early kind of success era and everything like that. And I used to love it, so I used to love it. So for me, that was the one that I thought would make me feel nice and give a little bit of a reminisce and actually put a little bit of stamp on Brentford for our first game in the Premier League.
Yeah, strong connection with the local area and the club fans, like you said. But I want to start with Brentford, Billy. And literally a couple hours ago, the news broke that the England squad... Look, here you go. Let me pass it over to you. Ivan Toney has made the England squad. Look at that smile again.
I cannot tell you how proud I am. And this is really, really hard to try and explain to people because when you... And I try and do this without belittling our club, right? Because obviously we've gone for a journey and I've been for the whole journey. I've been supporting this club for over 40 years, okay? Right? 40 years, I've been everywhere, all around the country, Shrewsbury, which I love Shrewsbury, it's a great place, and Scunthorpe and Wrexham, all these places, right? And you watch the game and you watch your team and most of the games are rubbish, but it doesn't really matter because you're having your jokes. And I remember back in the day as well because I think if I remember rightly, one time I think a Brentford player ended up playing for Brentford C. I think there's not Brentford, for England C. I think there's like an England C team at the time. I might be wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I remember there was massive, everyone was talking about it, going, oh my God, we got a representative for England C. Now, listen, I might have got that wrong, but that's in the back of my mind. But you're always looking for something to be recognised because basically no one knows even who you are. Like people call us Brentwood and Brent Bradford and Brent Wide, all this kind of stuff, like I'm saying. Then you're looking for something just to put yourself up on the pedestal somehow. And I watch England play. You've probably seen us, like, you know, on the box and everything like that, where I've been to this next tournament. I'm going to Qatar. It's going to be my 17th international tournament with England.
Wow.
All right, okay. So I think it's 7 World Cups and 7 European Championships, plus the Women's World Cup in France I did a couple of years ago with my daughter, and I did the European, the Euros for the women's as well, okay, a couple of months ago as well. Yeah. So the 16 I've done, and that's going to be my 17th. So I've been going all around the world, watching England as a football fan, you know what I'm saying, because it's my country, you know, that's the way, that's the country that I was born. And, you know, and there's players that started to come in that started to, I mean, I went to support England the days when, you know, Paul Parker and them not played for them, but all of a sudden, like, you know, players start to come through and they start to represent England, and you're really proud of, like, you know, of the team. Okay, they didn't quite get over the mark, because they're always, like, you know, close but no cigar. But that was kind of part of being the fun, and especially, I suppose, maybe being a Brentford fan, you know, we never did Europe. I mean, we did the Anglo-Italian Cup in 1992, which is a proper laugh. Actually, we went to Ascoli, you know, for a week, even though we played on one day, but we just decided to go out to Italy for a week.
You've been about, Billy.
I'm telling you. So, okay, so forgetting the Anglo-Italian Cup, Brentford had never been in Europe, you know what I'm saying? So maybe this England thing has been my kind of escape for us to go and see European football and go around the world. So like I said, I've been to Japan, been to South Africa, been to Brazil, been to Kazakhstan, I've been everywhere watching England, and it's jokes. But I never thought that I'd see an England player in a Brentford shirt. I really didn't. And the closest was, I must admit, you know, Ollie Watkins, he was brilliant when he was in the BMW in the Championship, and we were saying, in fact, one of the Brentford, one of the senior people in the coaching team said to me, Ollie Watkins is going to play for England, and I'm like, is he going to? Do you think he play for England when he's going to be in Brentford? And he goes, well, if we go up this season, then yeah, he will.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought, yeah. So that season we lost in the playoff final to the F word. I can't really say the name of that team on here, but anyway, we lost, and so Ollie Watkins left Brentford, signed for Aston Villa. 3 months later, he's playing for England. But all the Brentford fans were so proud that he was playing for England. They all tuned in. They watched him. They went and bought tickets. I went up to Middlesbrough and I saw him play against whoever it was, Romania, whatever it was. And I was really proud when he played, because to us, even though he was playing for, inverted commas, a rival team, even though they were one division above us at the time, he was still a Brentford player. You know what I'm saying? So, but I swear on my life, I never ever thought that we'd have a player playing for England. But
he deserves it.
He listen, I've been raving about him from time, and I know there's a lot of people that are going, yeah, he'll never do it in the Premier League, and he's this and he's that, and he was a flop. And people always go, there's a tendency for people to always look at people's past histories and say that it kind of it makes them what they're going to be in the future. Whereas, you know, a lot of people, if they know what they're doing, what they do is that you make mistakes in the past or you learn from the past, and that makes you a better person. Now, if you watch Ivan Toney week in, week out, I've been on radio shows, national radio shows, TV, everything like that. They talk to me Ivan Toney, and I say to them, oh, he's great. I said, no, forget about his goal scoring. It's what he does off the ball. He's on the wing. He's tracking back. He's defending. He's causing problems all over the park. He's doing the job of 3 or 4 people. And I said, now, the interesting thing is, I don't know whether or not it's because that's the way he plays, or maybe some of his teammates, he's kind of doing a little bit of extra work for them. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what he's going to be like in a team where actually they say, Ivan, look, you're up there, mate. You do that because we're doing all this stuff for you, so you don't need to do all this kind of stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it'll be really interesting. So England is technically meant to be having all the best players in the world around him. So it'll be interesting to see how a player with that type of ethic, that work ethic, works out in the England setup, and we'll see. And it's really interesting because last season, you talk about, you know, Brentford, and we did the Arsenal thing, then we played Liverpool and we beat West Ham, and all of a sudden we were like, wow, we're doing quite well. So from playing Arsenal, where you think, hopefully if we can finish 17th, which is where you want to finish, you know what I'm saying? To all of a sudden, oh my God, we're looking for a mid-table position now. But in the back of the head, because Brentford fans always think like this, we're thinking, oh my God, as long as we can get the magic 34 points, that's all that really matters. So I've gone over to San Marino to watch England play San Marino, and I was sitting in the bar, and I was sitting with all these Newcastle fans. They come up to me and they go, yeah, right, Brentford fan. Oh, Ivan Toney, he should be out here. He should be playing for England. My natural thing is, no, he shouldn't. And they said, why? No, because I want him to concentrate on playing for Brentford and keeping us up this year. Yeah. Right? I don't want, if he plays for England, then his focus might be away, then he might get transferred in January. And I said, no, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? And they were like arguing with me, saying, no, we want it for England. I said, no. And the reason they said, look at this, mate. Look who we're playing today. And I'm like, what? He goes, San Marino. I'm not being funny. If Ivan Toney can't do a job against San Marino, then he's never going to play for England. And I thought, actually, you've got a point. And what they did is they put in Kane and they put in the usual players and they smashed them 10 or 11-0. Whereas they should have probably really used that opportunity to brick in players who
test the waters a bit.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. So after that, I just thought, actually, tell you what, we're safe now. Yeah, let's get Ivan in the England team. So I'll tell you, the proudness of all the Brentford fans. I mean, they're all probably clambering to get tickets now for the next game, for the Germany game in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, I've already got my ticket, and I've actually since I've chatted to you last, I started a new girls football team actually. So I was starting a new girls football club, the Barnet Panthers, as well. So I've done that. So I'm loving it. You know, my daughter plays for them, but I've got a load of other 2 or 3 little teams, and I've got a first game on Saturday as well, so it's good that Saturday's off. So look, but that's the buzz with that. But we've got a training session on the Monday of that England game. But I've managed to make a few phone calls to get people to take over for me on that Monday to make sure that fingers crossed, we'll see Ivan Toney grace the turf at Wembley on that day. Fingers crossed for the first time.
All for the love of the game as well. Well done. Good luck to you as well with those ventures. And with Toney, I mentioned that he deserves to call up. Look at him this season, 5 goals, 2 assists in the first 6 games. Arsenal are coming to town. Last season when Arsenal came to town, 2-0 victory for Brentford. Ivan Toney had that, little tweet on Twitter that Arteta used in the All or Nothing documentary.
He wasn't happy, was he?
He wasn't happy. But credit to him, I think I would have probably used the same sort of thing to rile up my team if I was a manager of a team, because, opposition players disrespecting you, that should be enough motivation for you to go and get the job done. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Toney done a wrong thing. I think that's all part of the game. It's banter.
Was it a disrespect though? All he said was a nice little kick around with the lads. It wasn't a needle in the eye. It was just a little phrase, wasn't it?
It was a jab. Let's say it was a jab. He took a little swipe at us. Let's say that.
It was a nice little kick around with the lads.
You lot got the win, and it was your first game in the Premier League season. Deservedly so. He had the right to do what he done, say what he said. It is what it is. Arteta used it. We won the return leg, not the return leg, but the return fixture last season. 2 games played. You won at home. We won at home. This season, the first fixture is at Brentford again. Looking at Arsenal, Billy, we've come a long way in the last 12 to 14 months.
Oh, God, have you?
Yeah. But you also spoke, not highly at the time, but you asked for patience from the Arsenal fans. You said you can see something with Mikel, and I think a year or so on, your comments are very much justified, because even I'm sitting here saying, look, this season started well, and for the first time going into that first Premier League game against Crystal Palace, I was confident. Last year going into Brentford, I wasn't confident. This year going into Palace, which is looked at as a more difficult away fixture, I was quite confident about it. And I think that's credit to Arteta and the good work that's been done over the last year. At the same time, we've just tripped up against Manchester United, 3-1 at Old Trafford. It's not the end of the world, but it's a Man United team that you managed to dispatch in 45 minutes. But looking at Arsenal, Billy, what do you make of it currently at this moment in time?
Arsenal are a very good side. I said last season that Arsenal are a very good side. Yeah. Beforehand, at the beginning of the season, I said it to you before you played us in February. I said it to you as well. So again, and in this league, you can't go around disrespecting anybody. I'm not talking about the Ivan Toney thing, but in general, you have to realise, you've got some good players in that side. I actually, and I don't know if I said it to you in the second interview I did to you, after the elation of beating you and going, yeah, this is really fantastic. Okay, and I said to you, we look at stats quite a lot at Brentford, and as being part of that club, us fans as well understand them more than just the underlying stats, but the other stats that we use as a club, which has got us to where we were. So I actually didn't see the game back, but I looked at the stats on the game, okay, and I looked at it, and okay, we were on the XG level, we were like slightly higher than you, and a lot of people would say, I hate XG, but the thing is, it does give a good indicator. But when I looked at Arsenal, I thought, hold on a second. In fact, no, you actually had a higher XG than us, but we beat you, which means that you actually created some big, high-quality chances that you didn't put the ball in the back of the net. So I looked at that and I thought, haven't we done really well, blah, this, that, the other. Then it was about 3 months later, when I had a sort of spare Saturday, it was probably a Saturday off, I sat down and I watched the game back, the whole game back. And I watched the game back, and in particular, I think it was in the second, like the first half, like we were like, and then the second half, I was a little like, whoa. Second half, I said, Arsenal, they're quite good actually. Mm-hmm. And you were making some really good moves. Emile Smith-Rowe was doing some really good stuff. And you had a couple of chances where, to be quite honest with you, you could have scored. And I think there's some good saves probably from Raya, or some good blocks, because we were throwing our bodies behind the ball. But if one of them had gone in, it would have changed the complex of the game completely. And that's what they say about fine margins in football. So what's happened is that it didn't go in, ball goes down the other end, hit you on the break, or we long throw, boom, ball back of net, we've gone 2-0 up. Yeah. So the fact is that you take your victory because you understand it, but also what we do is that we try and be quite measured about it. So I look at that and I think, okay, that's good, we got a win there, but that could have gone one way or the other. You know, there's other things, like you look at the Man United game that we smashed them 4-0 the other day, which I'm very happy with. I look at the stats on that one. I look at that and I think, I'm not being funny, mate, there ain't no way they're coming back into that one, because I'm looking at the figures and all it is big bubbles all over the place, with Brentford just smashing them all over the place. You know, and it's a different scenario. So even though we beat them 4-0, you look at it, you think it could have been 3 or 5 or 6, like, you know, so it's a different scenario. But with the Arsenal last season, and that's why I was trying to say, I said it before we played you, I said, you've got to give the manager a chance. I said to you about how Thomas Frank had, I think he won 1 in the first 10 games. He lost 8 of them and drew the other 1. And, you know, if it's any other team, they would have sacked him straight away. But Brentford would know. You know, the owner said he's doing all the right things. They've obviously looked at the stats. They said all the right things. It's just not going in the back of the net. They're not dropping. Players are just gelling. So as far as we're concerned, we haven't got any problem. We're cool with that. And that's why I'm saying that you've got to look at the people that you employ, see if you've got trust in them, see if they're doing the right thing, see if the players are doing the right thing, see if the relationship with the players is right. And if it is, you've got to just stick with them, because eventually it's going to be right. If it ain't right, that's when you've got to ring the alarm bells. And like I said, we had a previous manager where he came in and from day one, we saw that it wasn't right, and so we sacked him very early on. Yeah. And the reason why we sacked him is because he wasn't doing the right thing, and we put our hands up and said, we made a mistake here. But with the Arteta thing, and the interesting thing, a lot of friends of mine are saying that they saw Arteta in a different light when they saw All or Nothing, which I'm going to say on the All or Nothing thing as well. I'm very pleased, because I'm also in the music industry, and I had one of my tracks in the opening episode of All or Nothing. Yeah, I've not seen it yet, but apparently a car is driving through to the training ground, and there's a female MC emceeing in the background as well. So yeah, basically that's one of the tracks that I published on my record label as well.
Just to look out for it.
So and the reason why I haven't watched it is that me and my daughter said we were going to sit down and watch that episode ourselves, because obviously it's the Brentford episode as well, and we haven't had time between ourselves to actually sit down and watch it. But between now and Sunday, I'm going to watch it as well. But so yes, so that's quite an exciting episode for me, because of the music and also because of the Arsenal Brentford element in there as well. But like I said to you, a lot of my Arsenal friends said to me, actually, I've looked at that and I've got a lot of respect for Arteta now. I see how he does things, and I've not seen it, so I can't make the comment. So I'm hoping that, you know, like I said to you, I think it's probably different for Arsenal fans, because you have been up there and you've had the success. So you believe that, you know, you want to be going in there straight away and competing with Man City and Tottenham and straight away. Whereas we've always been a team where we've realised that you have to build, and sometimes it's a slow build, and sometimes that learning process is the thing that's going to get you better, and you can't get everything at the right moment. And sometimes, you know, this whole idea, like Man United, okay, they seem to be doing all right for a period of time, or are they? But they're going out spending £100 million and 80 million and 150 million pounds of these players to try and fix things immediately. Is that really the way forward? I know everyone's got different strategies about how they do things, but in the long term, is that really, really the way? Nottingham Forest to go out and spend and buy 425 players, you know what I'm saying? Right? So that the manager doesn't even know half of their names, you know what I'm saying? Now, I know it's a different strategy than everybody else, you know what I'm saying? But trying to bring that in and pull it together and make it work,
risky.
Is that really the right strategy? What happens if it doesn't go right? Are you gonna sink your team? What's going to be the morale like in the dressing room? There's all sorts of things that are going on. So I understand this, but I'm not saying that we only know things one way, but as fans, I suppose that we're probably a lot more patient, because it's taken us so long to get to here where we are. So we're just like, whatever. But I just say to other people, and you can sort of kind of tell when you talk to football fans, especially lower league football fans, they're kind of quite willing to like let things happen in a particular way, and let things, if they feel it's the right way for it to happen, because the idea is that when you get there, you will kind of want to stay there. And a lot of people have asked me, do you think Brentford are going to stay where they are? I said, well, the thing is that they've been planning this for 10, 12 years now. And the thing is, they know when we get there, it's about infrastructure. The clubs, if you notice, the clubs that are doing the best normally are the clubs who've got a right infrastructure. They've built the infrastructure and they make sure the infrastructure is right from top to bottom. The ones that normally just throw a load of money at it and try and make it work at the top, when it all goes horribly wrong and it falls apart, the whole thing falls apart. So it's almost better that you've got the right infrastructure, so the owners are right, everyone's on the same page, your buying strategy is on par. You're not buying that kind of player 1 minute, then that by the next minute, you keep flipping from left to right. And if your infrastructure is right, eventually you will start itching yourself into the right directions. Look at Brighton, right? The way that they are. Everyone's sort of like, Brighton. On next minute, Brighton, they're just like slowly just edging their way up. Their manager's been nicked now. Why? Because he's a very important part of where they're going. And somebody else has thought, we want some of that. Now, whether or not Chelsea would be able to pluck Potter out and put him in and do the same thing that they did at Brighton, because Potter, a lot of what they don't know is that it's not only about Potter, it's about everything that you had around him.
Yeah.
Brighton's very Brentford. The owner of Brighton used to be the business partner with the owner of Brentford. Okay. You see, so a lot of people don't know that. So we operate very much in similar ways. So there's a whole infrastructure and a whole ecosystem around the whole Brighton thing. Not only Potter, and before that it was Chris Hughton.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was Chris Hughton, buying and selling. Chris Hughton didn't buy and sell players. No, mate. Listen, the people over there bought and sold the players, and Chris came in and he just waved his wand and did his thing. And Brighton probably thought, you're not quite for us. And I love Chris Hughton because he used to play for Brentford. He was actually in the Brentford team that won the championship, as it was back in the day in 1992. And I remember him playing for us then. So I love Chris, but maybe Brighton said, you're not quite for us. So they brought in Potter, who they felt was more of a fit. So what I'm saying is that it's about the infrastructure and what's around you. And that's what teams need to look at. And I'm not trying to be a guru or it all, because I can sit back and say these things because, well, we've been sitting back and watching everybody else going up while we've been down the bottom there. So
now it's a very different perspective, and there's two words in particular that stood out from you talking there, and that's measured and patient. And I think that's such a rarity in the football fans world now, especially when you are an Arsenal fan or a Man United or a Chelsea fan. I think patience and being measured is completely lost amongst the fan base, because like you said, once you've been up there, it's hard to be down there and be patient and measured about getting back to where you once was. Whereas as a Brentford fan, outside looking in, that perspective of give time, give patience, build. And now you look at Chelsea and Man United, who are pretty much starting a process of their own. Arsenal fans were mocked about a process for a couple of years now, being sold a dream and whatnot. But as we sit here now, it looks like two other clubs within that big six seem to be going along that route as well. And that gives me confidence that maybe we have done the right thing over the last 3 years, maybe. And that maybe is all down to Champions League football this year, because I think the third year now going into the process, I feel like you look at Chelsea, you look at United, managerial changes, you look at Tottenham, who changed the manager last year. I feel like now is our time to break that top four again and to kind of build towards Champions League football and maybe a title challenge in the next season or two. Outside looking in, would that be a fair ask for the club?
Listen, as a team, as I said to you, I think Arsenal doing really well. Again, in the stats world, there's this world as well, which again, a lot of people may not agree with, but they've got this thing called the Justice League, which the Justice League is basically a position that you should be in. If you create all these really wicked, high-quality chances, you put them in the back of the net is where you should be. Now, Arsenal are pretty much whereabouts where they are in the league. So basically it means that Arsenal are a really dangerous team. They create a lot of really, really good chances. They put them in the back of the net, you're there. So the fact that you do that means that you are going to cause problems unless you drop away. The situation is that if you're a team that doesn't necessarily do that, but you still put the ball in the back of the net, so basically what you've got, you sign a wicked striker who literally could bang the ball in from 35 yards every time, or any time he gets, like Haaland, right? Yep. How many touches does he get? 2 touches, boom, both of them in the back of the net. So you get a player like that, and what they do is Man City create a lot of chances anyway, but overall, but it's probably a bad example. But you put him into, I don't know, Wolves or Aston Villa team, the 2 chances that he'll get, he'll still put them in the back of the net. So it might distort where they are in the league because you've got a brilliant striker. Put him into our team, we create loads of chances. Honestly, loads of chances. But again, because our strikers aren't necessarily have the experience that maybe some of yours have, and then so they're still working on it. Even though Ivan Toney's got an England call up, did you know that? By the way? But you know what I'm saying. But so we wouldn't necessarily put them in the back of the net. Brian Mbeumo is the prime example. You've seen him. Yeah. Every time ball in front of the goal, ball over the top, hits the post. He does that all the time. Whereas if it was somebody else, maybe that you signed or somebody else from Haaland, those balls will be back in the net, and before you know it, we'd have 6, 8, 10 points more than that. Yeah. And so that is kind of a very, very, I think, important factor in kind of positioning. And when you come back to Arsenal, you're right up there. So you're, I think, a very, very dangerous team this season. And it could be interesting how it pans out, because a lot of people are saying, Man City and Liverpool, them two are going to be fighting it out. But what I think is quite interesting, and we had this conversation, like I said, we do the Besotted, BWSOTTED podcast, and you check it, prideofwest.london. And we did a conversation a few weeks ago where all of a sudden Chelsea were beaten 3-0 by Leeds, and we had beaten Man United 4-0, and there was all these mad results happening, which kind of like don't normally happen, especially at the beginning of the season. And the question that we were asking was saying, could this, because people are always saying to us, the thing about the Premier League is like there's the top 4 and then there's another 2 that might get in, and then there's a whole load of people that are just like in the middle, and then there's like a bottom 6 that are just not very good. That's kind of how they describe the Premier League. Yeah. So you'll think, so if you're in the middle, well, that's a bit boring because you're just like just sort of swimming around. Yeah. You know, if you're at the bottom, there's a bit of excitement there, but you don't really want to be down there because you get relegated. And if you're the top 4, so it's always the same and it's a bit boring. But we said, is this a season where the stranglehold is going to be broken on that kind of Premier League kind of nonsense, boring kind of big money nonsense? Because all of a sudden, have you got some teams that have come in who have understand how they can break that kind of big money stranglehold? Man City, Newcastle came in, okay, they've been spending money, but they drew Man City at the time, and then there's another result. You know, there's a few things that had happened, and maybe what it is now, you're going to get a few wild cards from teams who are traditionally maybe lower down, who are actually going to make it more exciting for the teams up the top. You know, because instead, like Man United, who are going to be up there somewhere, they're like, oh my God, we don't want to go to Brentford. Yeah. Or Man City will go, oh, we don't want to go to Brentford. We've got to be on point here because we're going to be passing around doing sort of 800 passes in the game. And they're going to be thinking, forget that. We ain't going to match them with that. Boom, let's go with the top. Yeah. Let's go long. Let's hit them with our, big men and let's put the ball in the back of the net, which is not the way that we play every week because we change our style depending on what team we play. And why match Man City if they're going to pass you to death? It's absolutely no point, you know what I'm saying? But, same thing we did with Arsenal last season. Instead of trying to match you to death, we just went long, hit your fullbacks, went, with the big men, over the top and stuff. And with the long throw, and that's what hit you in that game. But we don't play like that every game. So what I'm saying is that the managers like Potter, even though Potter's got to Chelsea, which is a shame, maybe they'll start to shake things up a little bit, which will help the teams at the top because they won't be going to teams like, I've used Wolves as an example, thinking we're going to get 3 points there because you don't know if you're going to get the 3 points. Yeah,
look at the way the season started. Fulham take a point off Liverpool, Crystal Palace and Newcastle have taken a point off Man City.
Fulham would take it, and this it pains me to say as well, but Fulham were taking points of everyone. They were upsetting everybody. It even took 3 points off of us, Yeah. And that was a wicked game. I have to put my hand up as well.
At 2-2, I thought you were going to win it at that stage after coming back.
2-2. It was, and we went for it. And that's the reason why. Because Thomas Frank, with their gambling head, they went, it's 2-2. So if we get another goal, we get 2 points. If they score, then we lose 1 point. Yeah. I tell you, let's go for it. So we've gone for 3 games, and in the 3 games we've won where we got the 3 points because we did it against, I can't remember, but we get the 3 points, but then we lost. So they said, so overall in 3 games we've actually gained 4 points, or whatever like that. So that's kind of how they went. But that was a wicked game of football. Yeah. But they've been taking points off of everybody, and people weren't expecting that at all. So all of a sudden, you put Fulham into the mixer. And somebody like Liverpool ain't going to come down there and say that's a dead cert. I was chatting to the Anfield Wrap guys, which I love. Again, check out the Anfield Wrap. Beforehand up in the offices here, it's quite funny actually chatting to the Anfield Wrap. Liverpool in the Arsenal offices, like I was saying. And I said to them at the beginning of the season, they said, right, I said, do us a favour, whatever you do, man. You've got one job to do tomorrow, right? Fulham, just one job to do. So they're like going, don't you worry about it, we'll do our job. Then the following day I just said, you just had one job, you know what I'm saying? And they said to me, they went to me, oh God, season's over. And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, season's over.
That's when the measured and patience is gone.
I'm like, but how could season be? It's only the first game. But they're like thinking, with Manchester City, we know the games that we have to tick off. And if we don't get the points in them games, then season's done. And I thought that's so different to me because I thought there's another sort of 37 games to go. But, maybe we're in a different league,
Yeah. Well, Man City have set such high standards that I kind of get what maybe the Liverpool fans are talking about, but there's no way after the first game of the season you can say anything for fact. And then when you see Man City drop points against Newcastle and against Palace, that kind of shows you that this start of the season has been the most interesting start to the season for at least maybe 4 or 5 years in terms of the top teams. I think Man City in the end will run away with it, but second down, it's all up for grabs at this moment in time. On the game on Sunday, Billy, I was about to ask you about the key battles, but I think Toney against a Saliba will be a key battle. I remember Toney against Ben White. Ben White's first game for us, a lot was made of it, but Ben White has seemed to settle in well. He's at right back now. I'm not sure if there'll be a change considering Gabriel's lapse in concentration recently. Maybe we will see a change. Maybe we won't. Maybe he'll stick with Gabriel. But Saliba against Toney for me will be a key battle, trying to keep him quiet. On the other side, I'm going to ask you, looking at Arsenal's forward line, who is the player you need to keep quiet in order to take something away from the game? Maybe a point, maybe 3 points.
But you've got a lively little Brazilian up front, if I remember.
Got a couple of those.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's obviously to keep him quiet is going to be a big job. Brentford defensively, we've had a bit of a mix-up this season because unfortunately we've had a couple of injuries, and I know that sometimes you could say this is an excuse that you throw into the pot, but it's true because our defence, we're a team where, again, last season, if we had our first 11, we were wicked like we were at the beginning of the season. But as soon as you start to get injuries, as we did, in the middle of the season, our injuries decimated us, especially David Raya, our goalkeeper, who was out for 5 months, 4 or 5 months, and that really destroyed us. Because everything goes through him, because he's a sweeper keeper, and as you know, you tried to sign him, but £10 million wasn't enough to prize him away from Brentford. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but,
maybe next year, 10 million and a pound.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, done. But you know what I'm saying? But we have got injuries in defence as well, which means that we've had to mix it up a little bit in defence. Ethan Pinnock, who's a brilliant player as well, he's been out injured from the start of the season. It was deemed that he was going to be out until about November. But he's back in training now, but he won't be back for this game as well. We've got Christopher Ayer as well, who has been out injured. He's a great player as well, so he hasn't been started this season as well. I think he might have been on the bench as well for a couple of games as well, but he actually hasn't. And obviously, we didn't play a game last weekend, so he hasn't played. But again, him being out, so we've had to bring in like Zanka. We re-signed him, who was on a free transfer before, so I think he's our 5th or 6th place centre back as well. But he's got the calming influence. So we got him. We got Pontus Jansson, of course. So our defence as well, we've known to have a mistake in us, as we say. We just have, and this is not disrespecting the players, that is just a fact. So sometimes it could be like against Man United, 0 goals go in, you know what I'm saying? Or you go against Leicester and you're 2-0 down at half time, or Fulham, you're 2-0 down, you know what I'm saying? So things like that. So we need to make sure that we don't have one of those ones against you. So we're going to have to be working extra hard to make sure that doesn't happen. The one thing I will say is that when we seem to go 2 goals down, we seem to sort of pick ourselves up and actually play even better. You know what I'm saying? So maybe give Arsenal a couple of goals.
I'll take that.
No. It's not good for my heart, that one, you know what I'm saying? But so I think that's our main fear, that we don't have these lapses in concentration, and also slightly unlucky because sometimes you have them lapses in concentration and before you know it, bang, the ball's in the back of the net, where other times it could be blocked or the goalkeeper could save it. So I think that's where it's at. So you've got, like I said, you've got a few players out there who could interestingly cause us problems. Obviously, like I said to you, tell you something as well. And I know he's a player who he was in your side quite a bit last season, but he caused a few problems when he was in the Championship. And I always look at ex-sort of Championship players. I'm not talking about Ben White, because we know all about Ben White this season, but Nketiah, right? Okay, and I know that he may feature at some stage, but he was really good. He was really good for Leeds, but I don't know why. What's his name? Bielsa. Just didn't want to play.
He loved Bamford, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, it's the work rate off the ball. I don't know what, or if he just like the big I don't know what it was, but Nketiah for me was always a dangerous little player, and he's the player that, I'm sure that you probably bring him off the bench at some stage, and he'll cause a few little nicks and a few little problems here and there. Emil Smith-Rowe as well is a player who I just think he's, for the future, he is honestly, I loved him when he was at Huddersfield, when he scored that goal. At Huddersfield in the Championship as well, where I think it was the goal that kind of put us into a position where we could have actually helped us out big time as well. But he's a player. But again, with these young players, you've got to give them time to build to the game. And when at the start of last season, he was Emil Smith-Rowe, okay, who's he like? But by the time you got to midway through the season, I think a lot of the fans are thinking, right, we know what he's about.
Important player for us.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player for you. And he's kind of come on. It's the next season now. So he's got a whole season again where he's going to have experience playing in and around and in the Premier League. So players like him, almost like I look out for players like that, and and the young and up and coming players more than I do the big signing players who come in and you spend the big money and then they do that, which you've got to watch out for, because I actually like seeing those players come through, and I love the fact that Smith-Rowe is coming to play for England and Saka's playing for England. I love all that development thing, and so that's why I've got no real hatred for Arsenal, all these other teams, because as long as they're developing players to make us for a start, watch better football.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to watch terrible football.
Yeah,
I'm
of
saying
course not.
at the end of the day, if it's 4-3 and you lost 4-3, you go, oh man, we lost 3, but wicked game. If you win 4-3, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So you see wicked football. That Fulham game, we sat down then. It wasn't good for my heart, but after that we came and go, what a wicked game. That was great. That's better than watching some sort of grinded out 1-0, 0-all foolishness, you know what I'm saying? So that's part of the joy of this. And if these players are coming out there and helping to make the game a better spectacle, and we have a laugh and this, that, the other, and you win some, you lose some, and then they're adding to the England team, and then England does better, and they go out to Qatar and they win the World Cup with either Toney scoring the final penalty and then the final, you know what I'm saying? Then
wake up, Billy, wake up.
Listen, we rewind this one
we might rewind it.
On the 18th of December.
Production clip this in case Billy, just in case he needs it.
That's right.
But listen, Billy, it's that time of the show now. We're going to round it off with a prediction. As the home team, over to you.
All right, tell you something. I ain't going to go to on this one. I don't know what I said last year, okay? But it doesn't matter what I'm going to say last year. Looking at Arsenal, where they're firing on the cylinders, okay? I think that for us, we'll be looking to get a nice little draw out of this one. If we can get a 1-1 draw, I think, and obviously I'd love to win, because it'd be great.
Yeah.
But I think if we can get a nice 1-1 draw out of this one and tack it back and take something from the Arsenal game, then I think that would be very good for Brentford, and we all be very happy.
After that Man United game, I really want a win at Brentford, but I'm not underestimating Brentford either. I think you've got quality players. I think you've shown this season already that, you know, you are a Premier League team now. You've got a threat up front in Toney. You've got threats all around the park. You know, you've mentioned a few of them. Finishing tends to be an issue here and there, but Brentford are a good side, caused us problems last season. I'm going 1-1, but I'm not as enthusiastic as you might be with the 1-1. I really want the win after that Man United loss. I don't want the Man United loss to be followed up by a draw, then an international break, and then it's the North London derby. Because then there'll be doubts, not just in fans' minds, but maybe the players' minds, that maybe, you know, that start of the season, those first 5 games, like the opposition fans are saying, those are they're easy wins and so on. I just want us to win and get back on track after that Man United game. But I do fear that we won't get the job done Sunday. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw as well.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. You know, that's good that we've come onto the map and people are sort of kind of giving us, I suppose, the respect that we like to think. You know, and you say deserve, but like to think that we just like to give. And the one thing, like I said to you, that we really like is as football fans, and like I said to you, first of all, I'll say Arsenal fans, if you're coming down to Brentford, and I said this before, you can go to any pub, anywhere around Brentford, you can wear your colours, you can come inside there, you can talk to Brentford fans. We're just football people, and you can have a laugh, and we welcome you as long as you have got manners, as they say, and that's all about it, having manners. But you come down there, the pubs are opening really early. I can't say how early, but just think early.
Really early.
Just think early, and just go down there, and you'll see some earliness going down. And if you want to even ask the Turkish, and if Turkish tells us to let you know where we'll be drinking, he'll let you know as well. But you can come down there, and like I said to you, really, really friendly, and we just talk football, which is what it's going to be about. Which is definitely what it's going to be about. And like I said to you, I like the fact as well. I love my football, but I love the fact that fans come down from, you know, championship clubs, you know, lower league clubs, and even when we had the old stadium, which is, you know, I don't say dilapidated, but it's old, but they come down, they say this is one of our favourite away days or our favourite away day, because it's not only about what happens on the pitch, it's what happens around the pitch. And you'll see that at Brentford as well. And the Liverpool fans said that when they've come down. You know, some fans the other day, I think the Everton fans that came down as well, they said, it's our favourite away day. And I'm not sort of saying it trying to boast Brentford, but I'm trying to say to you, just come down and just relax yourself and just enjoy yourself and just, you know, enjoy your day out. Go and watch your football. If you win, it's great. If you don't, just come back and have a drink again, because that's how we do it in Brentford.
Yeah, and I'll be there Sunday, so I'll be seeing you Sunday. Billy, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Let them know where they can find you at. We're going to tag the YouTube channel in the title, but in the description, let them know.
That's right. Well, with besotted.com, BEESOTTED, Besotted on Twitter. You find us on Insta as well. We're not so busy on Insta as well. Like I said, and the podcast is PrideOfWest.London as well, and I've got to shoot back now to record the podcast. Normally record it on Wednesday night, but we had to wait until Thursday for the England team to be announced, because we've had an inkling that Ivan Toney. Did I tell you Ivan Toney got called up for England?
No, you haven't. Talk to me more about that, Billy.
Yeah, listen, you can tell how happy I am. And all the Brentford fans are happy about that as well. So, yeah, so we decided to stop the recording and hold it back until after the England announcement today. And so, like I said to you, very pleased, about that. So it's going to be hopefully out later this evening. And the big man, Robbie, is going to be on our podcast as well. So definitely check that out.
Make sure you show some love, people, because Billy's a top man. Big Brentford fan. Like you heard, Robbie's going to be on his podcast later on. All of the links will be in the description below. Show some love to Billy the Bee. Thank you for coming down. Good luck for Saturday. Not so much for Sunday, Billy.
So Saturday, that's right. The Barnet Barnet Panthers team are playing. We've got 3 of them who are making our debut as well. Like I said to you, anyone into girls football as well, if you've got some friends or some daughters or anything like that want to play football, just check us out, Barnet Panthers. Bring them down. It's all about women, young girls playing football, getting as many people into football as possible. Is a big project of myself and Darren and DJ Dave, who's a West Ham fan. Darren's another Brentford fan as well. We put this together and it's really exciting. And just seeing these girls going out on the pitch on a Saturday, playing training on the Mondays we do in North London as well, it's just made me very happy. And it's taken up a lot of my time in the last year as well, since the last time I've seen you. But it's all coming to fruition. And like I said to you, Barnet Panthers, mate, they're the one. North London.
Like I said, good luck Saturday.
Thank
Not
you.
so much Sunday.
That's
People,
right,
give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Lineups, predictions, key battles, all of that. And show some love to Billy the Bee. All links in the description below. Love for the love as always. We'll be back soon. Peace.